start up here, guys. Okay. So yeah, again, threefold. I want to share with you a couple action items that you can implement when it comes to open houses. And this is all about lead generation. Now, one thing I will say is every one of the classes and the trainings that we go through, I want to train you guys to do multiple, like a high level of transactions every year. And what I mean by that is, and the reason I'm going into this is open houses, I really consider one added layer of finding new business. I believe if you have a consistent strategy when it comes to open houses and how you go about it and how you capture more people's information to follow up with them and grow your database, I believe you can get upwards of maybe 20, 25 transactions a year at most. I know there are always going to be individuals. You'll hear stories that they do 50 transactions a year solely based off of open houses. But just looking at our current market and strategies you're able to take, I would really recommend, again, using it as an added layer to your lead generation strategy. I always recommend with every agent, especially a newer agent, have 2, no more than 3 lead generation strategies that you continue to work and measure and track your performance week in and week out. So again, if you are going to generate business through open houses, make it a strategy and have an action plan around it that you're going to do on a weekly basis. And again, I'm going to share with you best practices around that. So again, I'm going to talk about how to find those open houses, exactly who to reach out to and where to go get it. I'm going to talk about how to prepare for the open houses in the right way to pull as much business as possible, as well as the day of, how to manage these, and then how to follow up effectively. One really nice tool we have in our wheelhouse is we have UHS, we have Roseanne, which I'll go into. You can leverage a lot of what she does to pull more interest. And at the end of the day, I mean, our target audience when it comes to open houses are unrepresented buyers and potential sellers, right? So we're going to talk a lot around those lead generation strategies. So first things first, I will say when it comes to generating business around open houses, we can do a lot of things to pull interest. You can place ads, which we'll go into. You can door knock, advertising in the local neighborhood. My own just texted asking if someone can send the Zoom link. Sorry, so with me already starting, I can't go into that now. But when it comes to open houses, again, there's a couple things I wanted to find out from you guys. What do you think what listing would classify, if you had to pick and choose between different listings out there, what do you think would draw the most business outside of any activities that we do? What would you look for in a home that may pull in a lot of people, a lot of traffic, which is what we're getting after? What type of listing, what type of home would you think would pull a lot of interest? What would you look for in the right property? Any thoughts? And if you guys need me to clarify that a little bit, I can too. Did that question make sense?
See what type of home would draw attention?
Yeah, what if you had to choose between different listings out there to host an open house? What would you look for in the right listing? What home, as opposed to another listing, another property, do you believe would pull? Sorry, you keep seeing my thumb. I have to let people in here. So what listing or property do you think would pull more traffic and more interest than another property? What do you guys think?
Well, a new home, like a new construction.
New construction? Awesome. So why would new construction, a newer home, do you think pull more interest?
It's more modern. It's more up to date. The area is probably like a new community.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So newer does appeal to a wide audience. Most definitely. Sorry, I think the baby's getting closer. Hey,
You brought your kids to work today, Chris.
Bye, Mom. Close the door, please. I so wish I could show you my kid right now. He just walked in the door and oh, bless his heart. Thanks, buddy. Find mom. So my 7-year-old Isaac, he was just carrying his little brother like this. And the kid's just like, when he's being manhandled and his arms are probably like above his head. And he just brought him into the room. So, okay, hopefully he finds mom soon. Okay, so some of you will really appreciate that. I wish Ashley was on right now. She'd really appreciate that. So we talked about new construction. Back to that question for those of you that had just shown up. What do you look for in a particular listing outside of activities that you do? This is outside of what we can do to pull traffic into an open house. What do you look for in the right listing or property that you think would pull a lot of traffic? What qualifiers?
Like location of the property and the demand in that area.
Now, why is location important?
It's relative to the buyer, I guess, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So are you
Higher
referring to
demand
the
in
area?
places.
It's an area that has a lot of demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go past that and say, would you guys say location is pretty important for people to find the home? I remember as a newer agent, I was so excited to do my first open house. And I did the same message that we may see on our group Facebook page with our market center and things like that. And a partnership, 2 agents said, yeah, we have an open house. You can do that, would be great. I remember the day of, I had so many signs to use, directional signs to find the open house for just general traffic, to pull people off the road, off the street. And I had easily over 10 signs, all with arrows and directions. And this thing was so far outside of Riverton. I remember thinking, man, I've placed so many signs on where to turn. I don't think I'm gonna have enough signs for people to find me. So remember, on top of that, just area in and of itself, again, we're thinking along the lines of an open house. If I'm looking to pull traffic, if I'm looking to pull people off the road that are driving just on a Saturday mid-morning, late morning, and they have extra time, I would like to pull these individuals over to view my open house. And if it's too far off the beaten path, it could be difficult for people to find it. So again, if I'm looking at one listing or one property as opposed to others, that would be one area that may be important for me, right? Because again, I'm looking to pull as many unrepresented buyers and sellers as possible, the general public. So location's very important. We're on the right track here. What else? What else do you think would make one property better for an open house as opposed to another property?
Well, the price is important.
Yeah. So I would say that goes along the lines of the listing itself, right? So the price has to be important. Good point. So that's when people view stuff online. Yeah. What else? Anything else?
What about any renovations needed? Like obviously if there's less work that's needed to be done than another, they're going to choose the one that they don't have to go in with any kind of renovation or expectation of expense.
Yeah. And that could depend on the buyer now, right? Like
Right.
Maybe there's an investor side.
Maybe they
that might be
want, right?
Yeah. One thing in interest of time I'd like to go into is, again, we're looking at listings. Here's another thing that I learned. And again, when you're going through the business in the very beginning, you have to learn things the hard way sometimes. But I found out that not only this home was just in the middle of nowhere and it was hard to find, I found out that this property wasn't exactly new on the market. That this property had been on the market over, I think it was like over 120 days. So do you think pretty much anyone and everyone that would have wanted to view that property may have already seen it, and there may not be as much interest to view this open house online? So a couple things. I would look at, sometimes it doesn't matter how much you do. I'm just going to say this. What we do matters in pulling more interest, in maximizing opportunity. But at times, like it doesn't even matter how much you do. If this property is in the middle of nowhere, and on top of that, if they haven't done any price reductions and buyers that pretty much want to see this home have already seen it, it may be hard to pull a lot of interest in my open house and traffic. So 2 things I would look at. If this is not your own listing, I would look for homes that, one, have not been on the market very long. I would say, I mean, especially in this seller's market, it would need to be under 10 days, right? And then second, make sure it's in a location that people can find, that you're able to pull people off the street to look at this property that may be driving by, and you can have enough directional signs like letting them know where to go. If it's too hard to get there, people will give up, right? So I wanted to point that out because that is very important. So that goes into the next point. There are times when, let me put it this way, when someone, and I'm going to go back to my same example. So I remember reaching out, asking anyone if they would like me to do an open house for them. And while that's not a bad thing, and it's putting myself out there to the market center, that's still something you can do. These guys reached out to me and they're like, yeah, Chris, yeah, if you can do an open house, that would be great. I remember thinking, wow, these guys were sure excited that I was doing an open house for them. And of course, we didn't have a lot of traffic. I found out how long the home had been on the market, the location, things like that. And I found out that these guys were actually looking to give the seller a reason that, hey, we held our 4th, 5th open house and we did not have anyone come by. So that's why we need to drop the price point. And I was kind of like, they of course wanted to help me out. I was excited to do the open house and things like that. But I think they had a pretty clear idea I wouldn't have a lot of traffic. Again, they were using that as leverage to be able to tell the seller, we had no one come through, you need to drop the price point. So the reason I say this is we've talked around this, around marketing and prospecting, right? And I kind of look at it in the same way. I can market myself to people to do open houses, and I may have someone reach out to me from time to time, but I'd actually like to pick and choose which homes that I want to do an open house for. Now, how do I do that? No, I'm doing that on my phone. I'm doing Zoom on my phone right now. So unfortunately, I can't really share my screen and go to the MLS. So I'm going to walk you through this verbally. I'm going to tell you how to do it, okay? How nice would it be if I could be notified immediately as soon as a home hits the MLS or comes on market from my market center, where I can proactively reach out to the agent, congratulate him or her on the new listing, and then offer my services to hold an open house for them the following Saturday. That way, as new listings come about, I can, one, make sure that I'm finding this listing before it grows stagnant. And it's just hit the market and it's the hottest new commodity because, as we know, listings, as long as they're priced somewhat correctly, even if they're priced high right now, are going off the market quickly. And it's pulling a lot of demand from buyers. So for those of you that are still, I think there's maybe Kayla. Welcome, by the way. Everyone say hi to Kayla. And anyone else new or joining us, that it's important to remember, I can set up notifications on the MLS. Now, many of you are aware of this already, Kayla. I can walk you through this later. But I can easily go on the MLS. I can choose the areas that I'm willing to do an open house in. So keep in mind, listings are fewer and far between now, so I may want to expand my area out. But when I do a simple search on the MLS for, say, homes between the price point of, I would actually start 350 up to maybe 700,000-800,000, or you could just leave it limitless on price point. And just starting at 350,000, and then I select the cities and areas I'm most interested or able to do an open house for. I'm sure many of you wouldn't want to drive to Logan to do an open house every weekend. And then if I scroll down on my listing search or on my property search, I can specify which office I want to find listings for or be notified of listings for. So when I scroll down nearly to the bottom of the search page, I'm going to see an office location. And let's say for some of you that may live further north, you can select the Keller Williams Success location, which is our Ogden location, as well as our own office. And then at that time, I can easily go and creating a listing alert. And I can set up that listing alert to go to me individually so that as soon as a listing comes on the market, I can be the first one to contact that agent. Now, one thing I found when I was starting is many times agents would tell me, oh, we've already scheduled an open house, or a member of our team is going to be doing an open house. It's not necessarily a bad thing when that occurs, because there's 2 points I want to make. One, that agent, as they're preparing that week for the open house and putting in the work, I'm telling you, like half the time they're going to be thinking, gosh, like it would be kind of nice to have my Saturday off. And I can tell my seller that I still held an open house. And on top of that, I have someone else doing the work, and it sounds like they have a really good plan to pull a lot of interest into the property, to pull multiple offers on this home.
Chris,
Yeah, go ahead.
so when I was trying to call a bunch of agents to do the open houses, you're just recommending that we do only Keller Williams because then we'll know them. Maybe that's why that no one was wanting me to help them with it.
Yeah, I would start there. A lot of agents, and good question, Sarah. I've heard of agents reaching out to brokerages outside of our own. We do have to be careful on 2 fronts. One, with the division, that it can never be misconstrued that we're the listing agent. And then at the same time, other agents from other brokerages may feel that, okay, how are they going to place signs? Are their signs going to say it's just for that agent, Sarah? You know, and they may be looking like the listing agent. So whenever we're choosing a single listing and working 2 separate brokerages or offices, companies, to do that, it can get into a bit of a gray area. So that's a big reason why people may be saying no. I tried that. Yeah, I reached out to people. Yeah, a lot of people said, hey, it's really good of you being proactive. You know, this is before our market now, obviously. But I had the same issue. Like a lot of people weren't exactly down with that.
Yeah,
So.
or they were like, oh, well, we've already had 15 showings and it's been listed for an hour, so we're not having an open house or whatever.
Yeah, and then yeah, on the second point, being from the same company and the same offices, Keller Williams is a very close-knit company, as many of you know. So hearing that you're from like a sister office or something like that within Keller Williams, I found that people are a little bit more open to help one another out too. So good question. Yeah. So again, I realized I wasn't able to share my screen with you guys on creating a listing alert, but I would most definitely creating a listing alert around the cities you want to work in, the price points, and then select our offices. Okay. The way, and I alluded to this before, but the way in which I recommend reaching out to the agent, it's interesting to me. A lot of times people expect that, well, if I'm reaching out to the agent, I'm sure that they're going to just be so overwhelmed by my generosity to help them with an open house. And they're going to say, bless your heart. Thank you so much for calling me. You have just made my day. It's important that we understand other agents may have a plan around doing their open house already. And then on top of that, they have a lot going on already. In fact, in this market, maybe they're accepting or taking a lot of offers and fielding calls from people. So I'd recommend with your approach, first, every time you call the agent, compliment them on that open house or on that listing. Say, hey, I just came across your new listing at the market. Great job. Like, you're one of a select few, getting new listings now and things like that. You're doing an amazing job. That home looks great. I'm sure it's going to go very soon. Then introduce yourself, make yourself human. I'm Sarah from the same office at Keller Williams. I've been with us about 3 years. And then let them know I have a lead generation plan based on open houses. And I have a very specific strategy to pull as many unrepresented buyers as possible into this property and be able to share the win-win. How this benefits you is, sure, you may have a lot of interest already, but I can give an added hand with your seller to hold an open house. And then you can work with someone from your office that has some idea of what they're doing. If I can pull added interest into your home and drive the price up even more. All right. So be ready to share with them the benefit of working with you. Don't think that simply because you show up, they're going to say, this is amazing. Thanks so much for doing this for me. I can't believe you called, right? You've changed my life. So share with them things that you do differently to bring value to doing the open house for them. I know for me with my own listings, I want to make sure that it's worked the right way. I do worry that what if someone doesn't lock the home after they're done, or doesn't know how to sell the property when people come through. Just put their mind at ease with that. The other thing, the second point I wanted to make before is, even if they don't have a need for you to do the open house, it's not going to hurt you to introduce yourself to sometimes top producing agents in our office where they have a face with a name. And there are plenty of agents when I started that would refer to me first to do the open house for them, rather than putting a message out to the entire market center, because they knew the way I worked. Jordan McQueen was one of those. I was a new agent. He's been in the business a very long time. And yeah, I reached out to do an open house for him. He asked me to come along and help him. We didn't have a lot of traffic that day, but I got to ask him questions about his business for a couple hours, which was great. And going forward, he always reached out to me to do an open house for him if I could. Okay. So again, be proactive about the homes that you're doing an open house for, and it gives you more control over just waiting for someone to reach out to you and continually putting out bulletin board messages. And you can reach out to people individually in real time. Okay. I'd rather get ahead of other agents asking if anyone has an open house for them to do, and contact each of the listing agents as it comes on market. Okay. Anyone have any questions about that or thoughts? And again, when it comes to the MLS, I can walk anyone through that, later. I'd be more than happy to do that, to create a listing alert for yourself. Okay. Next thing, I want to get into how to prepare for your open house the right way. I want to hear ideas from you guys. What are some things that you guys do to prepare for your open house to bring as much traffic and as many of the buyers as you can possibly get, and sellers? No, Christie's held an open house. So I'm laughing, Christy. Christy, I've been there. So plan plenty of time in the morning before your open house. I love that. Anyone else?
Go door knocking before the open house, like the day or 2 days before, and then post it on social media and share it with all your friends.
Yeah. Christy says day of course, treats, bottled water, sign-in sheet. So yeah, day of. Maybe I'm talking 5 to 7 days from your open house.
I feel like researching the neighborhood. Let's say someone comes around and wants to know, oh, what do people do for fun nearby? Then you have something to tell them. Are there schools? Go above and beyond of what the MLS sheet has, I guess.
Very interesting. So become a neighborhood expert and do your research.
With a little bit of time. Don't waste your whole week on that. But just kind of know what's going on.
Love it. Great. Very good. Anyone else? What's something you can do maybe 5 to 7 days beforehand? I heard door knocking 1 to 2 days prior. I would say you can do it, even earlier if you'd like. So I'd like to share with you guys input form completely filled out from Christy. So Christy has some great things in the chat bar. Hopefully you guys saw that. I'm going to share with you guys, and I couldn't see everything. I'm sorry. I'm going off my iPhone. My internet is super spotty here, as I said earlier. So I'm going to share with you guys a couple ideas when I worked on a team before that I'd shared with our agents to really maximize the right traffic to their open house and make sure that it is a lead generation type activity for themselves. Okay. So someone had already said this. I think Sarah said it, but 5 to 7 days beforehand. And by the way, if you guys have anything that you can write this down on, I'd highly recommend it and take notes. But I post your open house announcements on social media, online classifieds, MLS. If it's not your own listing, obviously ask the listing agent to put it on the MLS and notify that. That will in turn put that information on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, all the other sites out there that will notify the general public about your open house date. end times. Now, why would you guys think it's important to go on maybe online classifieds? I even wrote down as one thing, Craigslist. I don't think I've ever gone on Craigslist to buy anything, but I believe there's quite a few people still using that.
Marketplace is sorry, don't want to
Go
cut you
ahead.
off. I've seen
good.
listings on Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace is another place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know about Craigslist, but that I've
Yeah.
seen.
Craigslist, KSL, classifieds. There's on KSL, there's a place for announcements or events. You can put that in there as well. Now, why would we go to those places to post information about our open house? What do you guys think?
To get the information out to as many people as you possibly can find.
Yeah, but it's not just as many people. Who are the people we're looking for again?
Unrepresented buyers.
Yeah. So if I simply go to the MLS, and it is great, it's put out there to agents everywhere. And like I said, in turn, it's put on Zillow and Trulia, places that a lot of unrepresented buyers may look at. I'd really recommend, again, on social media, if I'm putting it out to all, even just my friends, my own network, a lot of them may be interested or will tell other people about it. Or if they're just curious, they may just stop through to say hi, right? And they can see that I'm working, actually doing business around real estate. In addition, on KSL, there are people that go on there all the time. You're going to see plenty of listings that are put up there. And that specifically is done by those listing agents that want to pull unrepresented buyers and sellers. Okay. Now, one question I do want to ask before we move on, how might I be pulling in, because this is a listing, in what way might I pull in interested sellers that I can work with in the future?
Neighbors. I mean, the
Yeah.
door knocking would work, like the invitation to
Yeah.
come see the open house.
Yeah. But let's just say with the general public, why would someone, if they need to sell their property, why would they be coming by my open house? What do you think?
To maybe see how much the homes nearby are selling for.
Great point. Yeah. So, and you mentioned door knocking my own. So going around the neighborhood, letting people know about it. They'd like to know what their home is worth.
Maybe see what they need to do to sell their home.
Yeah. Would you guys say in this market right now, there's a lot of hesitancy for people to put their home on the market because of limited inventory?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these most likely are interested buyers. They just haven't put their home on the market yet because they need to see what's out there first. And they may very much be interested in this home. But again, there's a lot of anxiety and nervousness, and that's why we provide something of value. That's where there's an opportunity for us. But there may be a lot of nervousness and hesitancy to put their own home on the market because of inventory. So if I can bring out a home that pulls these people out and puts an offer on this property, there's no reason I can't help them sell their home as well. Right. And it's become more and more common nowadays. I'm telling you, more potential sellers are looking at open houses than ever before, just because of low inventory. Great. So, yes. And I just wrote here, when it comes to KSL, I posted my open house in a couple different locations. I don't know if someone would report it and it would get deleted, but I also went to, there's a couple places you can go under announcements and post under grand openings, as well as garage, estate, and yard sales. So a lot of times people that are looking to sell their own home are looking to have garage, estate, and yard sales. I know I've done that with every single home that we sold. We had a yard sale beforehand so we could lessen the burden of moving all of our stuff and crap. So yeah, a lot of these individuals would be interested in viewing your open house if it fits their needs. Another thing that I'd recommend, now keep in mind, you would want to report to Roseanne at that time that you're going to be holding an open house, because she's going to set up the landing page as well. So she's going to give you a link, a URL to that landing page that she's going to set up, and you can send that to as many people as possible. How this benefits you is when people visit this landing page, we can track who is interested and people can pre-register to go to the open house. So it's all about capturing information and setting follow-up opportunities down the road.
Is that the landing page in our command website?
Yep. She goes through command and sets that up for you guys. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's going to be along the lines of the same template that we would have used for you on the listing presentation and things like that. In fact, I think in your guys' marketing packets that's sent to you, one of those templates is for an open house, I believe. So that's what you'll use. But isn't that nice? You have someone that
It
you can
is.
leverage that work to do
As
for
the,
you.
the last open house I did for my listing that I had to build it myself. So
Those of us that have built landing pages and had to go through it, doesn't take very long, but the first time it does. And yeah, we can appreciate that. So good point. So yeah, you do want to report that to Roseanne so she can start. We'll actually run Facebook ads for you on that open house to try and pull as much interest as possible. So that's why we want to do it 5 to 7 days beforehand, if possible. If you get an open house like 3 days away, fine, we'll run with it. But you want to pull as much interest as you can over the span of a week. You can also, on your own posts, social media posts, have that URL embedded in your post so people will go there to view it and then pre-register, or share that with other individuals and
she
making it
creates
shareable.
the landing page and the Facebook ads.
And the flyer, of course. So if you want to print off flyers, you can do that also.
Okay.
Yeah. And then here's another thing, 5 to 7 days beforehand, I would invite your partner, lender, or loan officer to the open house. Now, why might we do that? The day of the open house, why would I want to invite my lender?
So
come
if
help.
someone has questions about getting a mortgage or hasn't been pre-approved, they can either start getting them pre-approved on the spot, or they can have someone to reach out to ask any questions and calm their fears.
So I love it. I've had open houses where the lender, we simply say, oh, you haven't spoken with a lender yet. Let me introduce you to so-and-so. They can talk you through this process right now. And they can even, I always ask the homeowner, is it okay if we use your Wi-Fi just to get people approved if needed? Or if we have like a virtual sign-in sheet or something like that on a tablet, typically they say no problem. You can set up your own phone, whatever, as a hotspot if needed. But I've had lenders that have pre-approved people then and there to work with us. So that's a good conversation to have, right? What's another reason? I'm really fishing here. What's another reason this doesn't sound like a very team-oriented way of doing things, but what's a reason if I had to choose between having another agent, let's say between an agent I don't like and a lender partner, why might I have my lender there instead? What benefit might that have for me?
So that you don't have competition when someone's
Yeah, so that's a good way to put it. So hopefully we still work together. And the nice thing now is with open houses, that the home is priced somewhat correctly and it's fairly new. You're going to have a lot of traffic anyway, so you can still have other agents there to help you out. But yeah, I mean, if I have another individual to talk to people as they come through, even if people don't get pre-approved, I know if this lender has a great conversation with someone, they can direct them right back to me every time.
And it's important to have someone else there.
Yes. So that goes into my next point. And why is that important, Sarah?
Because you never know who's going to walk through the open house, and you need to be safe and protect yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do it. I mean, you can do it alone, but you shouldn't do it alone. And it's better to have someone with you. Yeah.
Especially during open houses with a lot of traffic. It's also nice to have more eyes when there's so many people coming through the property when it comes to the homeowner's valuables, things like that. I'm going to go through this very quickly, but just along the lines of specifics. Even if showing a property, especially with an open house, don't walk in front of people when you're leading them through the home. You typically want to walk behind them and allow them to go into spaces before you. The other thing is never go into spaces where there's not an easy exit. So if it's downstairs, don't walk downstairs with people. Just stay in the open area where other people are around. If there's, for some reason, a lull in the open house, have the door open. be there towards the entry, allow people to go through if possible, if you are there alone. But yeah, Sarah, excellent point. You know exactly where I was going with this.
You
but
got to keep yourself between the person and the door.
yeah, so
So
just
that
make
you are
sure
the
that,
person that exit.
yeah, make sure you're taking necessary precautions. I know a lot of times we want to be very service oriented with people. And when sometimes I'll just say when people have that weird feeling about someone, it's hard for some individuals to say, no, I won't walk down there, or I won't show you that room. I'll allow you to look at it yourself in a nice way. We really want to be accommodating at times, but definitely take the necessary precautions to look out for yourself, because a lot of times when we just want to be accommodating and kind of break our own rules, that's when we can find ourselves in potential issues or awkward situations. So thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so I'm going to go through this. I know we have like 20 minutes left. I want to make sure I walk you guys through the entire strategy of doing open houses. I actually recommend once I invite the lender, I give them 5 to 7 days to plan, and I let them know how I work the open house and what my expectations are. If the lender's just going to sit in a corner and not greet people or talk to anyone or hand out waters or anything like that, I don't know if that's the lender that I want to have at my open house. I want someone that represents me very well. Of course, they're not an agent, so they shouldn't be working as an agent, but they can still be amiable and everything to people as they come through. You already brought this up, my own, but take a little bit of time. Don't just hand information to people when they come through. Remember, you're building rapport and building your own brand when you're seeing people. So you never have a second chance to make a first impression, right? Look at not only comparables, but look at the school district and ratings, freeway, main road access, local shops, restaurants, entertainment, property taxes, area landmarks. Have an idea about these things that you can share with people when they come through, okay? You can definitely work through with Roseanne where she creates these flyers. And you guys have seen this before, but we can do a neighborhood snapshot, and you can ask her to do this and she will run with it and create a flyer for you. So the neighborhood snapshot can give school ratings. It can give how many active homes in the neighborhood, average price point, things like that pulled from command, which is pretty awesome, okay? Then moving into 3 to 4 days beforehand, that's when I start canvassing the area. I want everyone and anyone to know that I'm the guy, I'm the realtor, the local expert that's going to be letting people know about this new listing on market. So there's a way in which I go about doing that. Now, I know some individuals may not want to door knock and things like that. I will tell you, it's one of the best opportunities just to have a face-to-face conversation with people where their barriers or guards may come down having an actual human being in front of them. However, if you'd like to canvass the area and do door knocking, hopefully I didn't lose anyone. Okay. And my battery's low on my phone. If you'd like to go through the area and do calls, we can most definitely pull lists for you of homeowners and their contact information around a given property, if some of you aren't aware of that. So I'm going to go through that for our new guys in orientation this Tuesday, which is tomorrow at 5:30. But yes, we can most definitely pull homeowner information if you want to make phone calls to let the public or local neighborhood know about your open house coming up. Now, one thing I do, and this is just something I do for neighbors, friends, family of the homeowner, is I reach out to them, and if I door knock, it's kind of funny, but I say I'm looking for their feedback. So I say, you're more than welcome to come through this neighborhood. I make it more personal. I don't share information I'm not allowed to share, but I will share something along the lines of Brad and Barbara Johnson, your neighbors over at this house. Are listing their home, if you weren't aware already, and we're holding an exclusive preview for friends and family and neighbors this coming Saturday. Now, this is just something that I do, guys, but when I reach out to people and when I'm talking to them, especially in person, I actually make them almost feel like it's a secret, like they're getting in on something that other people don't know about. I know this is going to sound cheesy, but it is so funny to see how people, the general public, reacts to this. But I start this way and I say, hey, my name's Chris Ferguson. I'm a local real estate expert. I'm actually working with one of your neighbors to do an open house for them this coming Saturday. And I'm here on their behalf to let all of you know you're welcome to come through. And in fact, and I'll actually like lean in a little, keep in mind around COVID, I'll have a mask on and I'm distanced a little, but it's so funny. I'll lean in a little bit and my voice gets lower. It's almost a whisper. And I say, I'm doing an exclusive preview for neighbors, friends, and family 30 minutes beforehand if you don't want to have to deal with all the traffic and the public that comes through. And it's so funny, like they feel like they were let in on the most exclusive club red carpet event there was. But I really do. I lean in and I just say, for 30 minutes, we're allowing friends, family, and neighbors that would like to see their property and what it's going for come through and give feedback. And I go back to that. I'd really like to hear your feedback about the home. I also add to that and I say, only for friends, family, and neighbors, once you come through, if you're interested in what your home is worth, I'm doing a complimentary home value analysis for anyone else that comes through if they're interested to see how their home measures up. So I've provided 2 touch points and pieces of value. They can come through, see what their neighbor's property looks like. And then 2, I'm offering them complimentary to do a home value analysis. They don't need to know that it's free for everyone else as well, right? So I find out if they're wanting to come. I can then use my URL and share that with them. I'll get their email address or their cell phone. And I say, if they are willing to come, I can send them the website to look at that particular property. And also so that I have a face with a name when they come through. So I get their contact information. I get confirmation that they would come that day from this time to this time. Okay. Let's see. Any questions about that, guys, or thoughts? Okay. Moving through this. So at that same time, 3 to 4 days beforehand, I get the permission of the listing agent if it's not my listing. If it's my own listing, I ask the homeowner, but I do a quick 20-second video on a highlight of the home. I do recommend, I'm actually telling you, please do not be that agent that goes through a property with your camera and you're looking at every nook and cranny, you're looking at every corner, you're looking at every closet, every part of the property with your camera and walking through a virtual showing. That's not what you put out to the general public. Now, why might it be that I need to show them just one particular aspect of the home that would appeal to a large part of the market, then go through the entire property for 2 to 5 minutes?
You might show them something that they don't like.
Yep.
And people's attention spans are very short and they don't want to watch a 2-minute video.
Yep.
On a house.
That's exactly it. So I do not want to be the person to rule out a part of the home that they would need to see for themselves. We all know on video, sometimes things don't come up as well as it looks. The backyard may not look as large as it really is. Whatever it is, but just show one particular aspect of the property that people would love to see. Now, if you can't get into the home, just show that, huge owner bathroom or that huge kitchen or pantry or whatever it is that would appeal to a large segment. I would at least do it in front of the property or something, just a quick 20-second video letting the general public know that you're going to have open house or an exclusive preview. I actually don't like using the word open house because we hear that term all the time. But I say, hey, I'm holding an exclusive preview to this home for the general public, such and such day from this time to this time. And then I'll just quickly show behind myself, take a look at this landscaping or this beautiful property or 3-car garage. if I can't get in the home, at least something on the exterior that's really beneficial. I remember another one I did, it was in Daybreak. I had shown, what is it, like Ochre Pond or Lake that was across from it, and the walkway and stuff like that. So even an aspect of a landmark nearby is going to help draw a lot of interest. Okay, so that video, I make sure I do beforehand, and that's again when I'm door knocking around the home. And have a plan also how many contacts you want to make when you're door knocking or making phone calls. 1 to 2 days before, maybe even 3 days before, that's when I post the 20-second video that I've done, letting the general public know about my open house. I share it with all my friends. I say, can you please share with anyone that you know? And yeah, I'm really looking at that time to do my final drive to get people to come through. And then just so you guys know, I'm jumping ahead, but 2 to 3 days after the open house, I actually go through the neighborhood again to share if it's a neighborhood that I really like, an extreme sense of urgency, and say, hey, I'm sorry we missed you. If you didn't come through to our open house, I came through the neighborhood before letting people know about it. If you didn't make it, you can still view the property. We had a huge amount of interest. We have so much interest, and that's when I go into a just sold script. We had so much interest. We know there are a lot of buyers looking in this area. Are you sure there's nothing I can do to convince you to find out what your own home is worth as well, right? Can you imagine if someone answers the door the second time? Either they're going to say like, hey, I told you no the first time, but I can still share that sense of urgency around, there is a lot of demand in this area. Are you sure you don't want to know what your home is worth? Okay, just make some more compelling statement to use. Okay, any questions about any of this so far?
Chris, sorry to interrupt, but I have to go.
Sure.
That's okay. But thank you. A lot of help.
Of course. See you, Kayla.
Thank
I know
you.
everyone looks forward to meeting you. Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. So going back to the day of whoa, Levi, dude, did you cut it all off? What happened? Oh my gosh. Oh man. Told you not to. Look at him. He looks like he's 15. Okay, so the other part, the day of the open house. Now, you should already have your help set up, whether another agent, an agent and a lender, couple agents, whatever it is. Remember, in this market, there's quite a bit of interest in our properties, right? So you should plan for a lot of people to come through. What I recommend is those 1 to 2 days before, when you're posting the video, or 3 to 4 days beforehand, when you're door knocking the area and shooting your own video on the property, plan out where you're going to place your signs. That's one of those things, the day of the open house can take a whole lot of time figuring out where you want to place signs, where people are going to see it most, all of that stuff. So remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. 2 to 3 days beforehand, look where the signs are going to go. That way you already have a plan the day of, and it's not going to take too much time. Next, I'm going to say this, and Christy went into this before. Most of us will plan for how much time we think things will take. For instance, if I'm having my open house at 11, I say, well, straighten up the home may take 30 minutes. Placing signs may take 30 to 45 minutes. Straightening up things, whatever it is, may take an extra 15 minutes. I'll plan for that. I'm telling you guys, if you plan down to like 15, 30-minute intervals, you're probably going to be like me and showing up to the open house 5 minutes after it's scheduled to start, be out of breath. There's going to be a line of people out there. The listing agent might call you saying, hey, this, seller said there's a line of people out there. When they drove by, no one's there. So make sure, like I've been there too, Christy. So make sure you over plan when it comes to how much time you need. I always do when I'm placing signs. I always have balloons out there to pull interest and stuff and to catch people's attention. I remember it's always something. Like I remember going to get the balloons at this grocery store, and they couldn't find the guy, I guess, that his title is to do balloons for people. And it was just taking forever to get those stupid things, and the helium tank wasn't working or whatever it was. So that was super frustrating. And a couple other things just created more angst and stress leading up to it that I didn't have time for. So I'm going to say over plan for how much time you need the day of the open house. Okay. I also recommend right now, especially around COVID, have all of the lights on, all of the doors to bedrooms open, so that people don't have to make personal contact with any surfaces or materials around the home. Okay. And that's just around COVID protocol. And even in general, you would rather have people just walk through the property themselves. In addition to that, have a plan with the other agent or lender with the flow of people coming through. Now, you guys have probably seen posts from other agents where it shows a line down the block of people wanting to see a home. You want to make sure that you're doing it quickly and efficiently, but you're also creating opportunities to have conversations with people. And the way that I found to do that is literally have 2 to 3 agents there. As someone comes through the home, this is exactly what I say. I say, thank you for coming today. I'll compliment them about something. If they have their kids with them, I always talk about their kids, or I'll talk to their kids, which is important. I know as a parent, I like that. Also asking them what brings you out today. And then rather than firing a bunch of questions at them, I just say, hey, please go through the home. I'll give an idea of like the flow of viewing the property. I say, you may want to start downstairs and then work your way up. There's a better flow to see the home that way. Tell me what you think of this. And then afterwards I say, hey, I will be interested to hear from you and get your feedback of what you liked and what you might change about the property. So I'm creating the expectation that once they go through the home, I'll have questions for them, or I want to hear back what they think about the home. But I'm not coming at them right in the beginning where they're going to put their dukes up and they're going to be defensive, right? I'm not going to create a super long conversation right in the doorway. It's also going to help with the flow of more people coming through. Okay.
I read something that said that if you end up in the kitchen, like at the end, talk to people in the kitchen because it's where most people feel comfortable.
Yeah. And that's a big selling point of the home, right? So if it's like a huge den also, or a huge living space, open area, beautiful dining room, look for like the best features of the property that's going to appeal to people. But that's a great point, Sarah. Kitchen's a great place. Plus you have countertops to put information down. Couple minor things. I actually, before I go, I bring an air freshener if needed, if I haven't seen this home already. I've even heard of agents that, well, pre-Rona, would bake cookies and have cookies out for people. So the home smells like baked cookies and they have treats. But I at least like to have a water. Now I'd actually recommend, like, if I'm giving waters to people, having gloves on, just because people still have, there may be individuals that are that worried around COVID and things like that, maybe higher risk. Also, of course, make sure you have your mask on, have complimentary masks for people and booties if that's what the homeowner wants, shoe coverings for people to put on as they come through. But yeah, just be organized with it, and also understand the time in which we're living right now, that again, we don't want to create a whole lot of contact with surfaces on the property. We also want to make other people feel comfortable when they come through, that they're protected. The reason I recommend having 2 to 3 individuals is once they come through the home, if they have questions after signing in, I myself or another agent or someone else can easily pull them to the side where we can still socially distance and have multiple conversations. So there's other agents that can, talk to them outside with great weather we're having right now, whatever that is, to make sure we're capturing information and having great conversations as they come through. Any questions with what I've shared so far? Okay. For a sign-in sheet, I'm going to say this lastly, when people come through, the better information you get, you're creating an opportunity for a better follow-up. Now, if people are coming through and I just say like, hey, tell me what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? and they just say, yeah, I liked this part, not so much that part. And I say, great, have a good day. I'll try and reach out to you if it's okay in the future. I'll likely reach out and start to say things around, hey, tell me more of what you liked or disliked about the property, what you would change and why. I don't know if that's enough of a value proposition to create a reason to follow up with people. So what are some great questions that we can ask people as they're coming through the open house? And we can even include in the sign-in sheet that will give us a really good indicator of how to follow up with individuals and getting the best information for them to provide value. What are some questions that you guys have asked? Or what would be good questions to ask if you're the person coming through to view the property?
Are you with an agent?
Yeah. Anything else? Come on, guys. What other questions might we ask? I saw,
What kind
sorry.
of-
Go ahead.
What kind of property they're looking for so you can put together other listings for them?
Okay. Well, this is good timing. My phone's about to die. What other properties or what are you looking for in a property in a home? Good. Someone put something in the chat box. You're more than welcome to share. Sorry, I didn't see it in time on my phone. Let's see. Yeah, just in general, you can ask for feedback. Christy said, here are a few questions I'd highly recommend asking, okay? Now, what are most people going to tell you, whether they're working with an agent or not? If I say, are you already working with an agent as one of my first questions? Usually they're going to say yes, regardless whether they are or not. They're going to feel that I want to sell them and things like that. Personally, questions that I like to ask that's going to give me an indicator if they are working with an agent or if I need to go down that road are, how long have you been looking for properties? How long you've been looking for a home, right? Another question we can ask, have you spoken with a lender, right? And then getting feedback about the home. What did you like? What might you change? These are all creating opportunities to follow up with people, okay? So again, keep in mind, it's about the questions we ask when people come through to build that value proposition. And I'm going to share this lastly, and this is probably one of the most important things. Once I identify something that I can help them with, and on top of that, if they say, hey, we're just looking for something more like this, and if I've already researched the area, like my own said, to know what properties may fit their description, how much more powerful of a value proposition is it if I can say, hey, you know what, there's another property I know of in this area that may fit what you're looking for. It's priced just a little bit more, but it has a much more open floor plan you're looking for, and it's a newer home. How about after this, I reach out to you and we schedule a time that you can look at it this afternoon? A much stronger value proposition than just I'll follow up with you. And that brings me into the last point. When you're having a conversation with someone looking through the property and I figured out what of value to them I can help them with, have a date to your follow-up. Don't leave it open-ended. You guys have heard me say that a few times. Don't simply say, hey, you know what? I'll follow up with you in a couple days if that's okay with you. Or let me do some research and then I'll reach out to you by phone if that's all right. Always have a day and time that you're going to reach out. When is best for me to reach out to you? Okay. And ensure that you do follow up at that time. So I hope this has helped, guys, to not only locate the right property to do an open house for and know about them as soon as they come on market, but how to prepare best to pull in the types of buyers and sellers that you want so that you can truly build a sustainable business. As I said before, have a plan every single week. If this is truly going to be a layer of added business you're going to have, every single week, say on Monday, make that your plan to reach out to any given agent and let people know that you're here to do an open house for them when they need it. And you're happy to share with them your plans and strategies to pull a lot of interest and to drive up the value of the property and offers. So as you do that every Monday, you should be pulling at least 2 open houses that you can do a month. And if this listing is fairly new, That means you should have at every one of these open houses at least 20 to 30 contacts. That's pretty effective for a Saturday to be there for 3-4 hours tops, right? But if you guys have questions about this going forward, please let me know. I'm glad you guys joined us today. Hopefully you're leaving with a couple things that you're going to implement in your own business when it comes to open house, if that's one of your strategies to grow your business. And like I said, reach out if I can help you with anything. Okay. Okay, guys. See ya.